Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, so two big pieces of news today. The first, and I thought I would only be making a video about this. I didn't think anything else would have happened today. But the Giants have signed Parris Campbell. Parris Campbell, the wide receiver out of from the Colts out of Ohio State. I think this is what his third or fourth. This had to be his fifth year. His contract expired, so he has not really lived up to the hype of what he was supposed to be coming out of school. He was supposed to be a big play wide receiver, and he's been injured. He's played 32 games out of a possible much more than 32. He's been in the league 4 years and he's played 32 games. So do the math on that. He's played two 16-game seasons out of let's see, 16, 16, 32, 64 plus 2 because of the two 17-game seasons this past year. So 66 possible games, he's played 32. So he's played less than half of the possible games he was supposed to play in. So injuries have been a concern, but he is coming off of a season where he played his first full season. So hopefully that trend continues. He's a guy that I thought we were bringing in to replace Darius Slayton. One of the things I was going to mention is that he has mostly been a slot receiver for the Colts. He has snaps outside. I think he can play outside. I don't think he's an X receiver, but I do think he can be a receiver that you line up across from the X receiver that lines up off the line, that he gets those free releases and you move him around. He's a guy to use as a gadget guy. They run him on jet sweeps. They throw screens to him. So that's going to be really helpful because we're going to want to do that with not Kadarius Toney. What am I talking about? He's gone. We're going to want to do that with Wan'Dale Robinson. We're going to want to do it with Parris Campbell, who I think, honestly, I believe that he was brought in to replace Darius Slayton, but he was really brought in to replace Richie James because we ran a lot of kind of gadget kind of things with Richie James, but we all knew that he was not equipped to be that gadget type of player. He just didn't have the high-end playmaking ability. Even though he was really reliable, he just didn't have that high-end playmaking ability. We also signed Jeff Smith, who I think is going to be a return man for us, special teams guy. But that's like a 1 year, $1 million deal, $1 million deal. This Parris Campbell deal is $3 million a year with the possibility to go up to $6 million. So pretty much a steal. It's a 1 year deal. Like I said, pretty much a steal here. What we're getting. If he doesn't do anything, he's gone after this year. But if he can stay healthy and plug into this offense, his skill set is perfect. He's sudden. He can run routes well. He's really fast. I mean, he's a 4.3 guy. I thought he was a Slayton replacement, but he was really a Richie James replacement. I think he'll rotate in and out of that slot. I think he'll play on the outside too. I think he'll move around. He'll get thrown screens. Wan'Dale will get thrown screens. You can even throw screens to our tight end, Darren Waller. You can throw him screens. So I've seen them even run Darren Waller on jet sweeps. So there's a ton of ways that you can use those three pieces that are really versatile, and then add in Saquon Barkley, and then add in a running quarterback. There are a ton of ways that you can use those pieces, and I'm sure that went heavily into why they decided to go out and get a Parris Campbell instead of getting a guy like a DJ Chark, or instead of getting a guy that isn't as versatile as far as being able to run those plays where you want people to be able to make those yak yardage types of plays after they catch the ball. So that is Parris Campbell in a nutshell. I'm going to have a film session on Parris Campbell that's going to come out hopefully later today. I was going to talk about how he will replace what Darius Slayton does, but obviously my next point in this video is that the Giants have brought back Darius Slayton. So Darius Slayton is a Giant. He's just such a he's a guy that has a ton of drops, and Giants fans of course don't like that. But he's just got that relationship with Daniel Jones. They came in the league together. They started off second team together. He's got that personality that most Giants fans like. So Darius Slayton is a guy that most fans are kind of like, do we really need to bring him back? But they're also saying we're happy that he's back, because he's a giant. We recognize him as a giant. We recognize him as a guy that is just, not a cornerstone, but just a guy that you recognize. This guy's a giant. So you'd like to see him stay there as long as possible. He signed a 2-year deal. I'm still waiting on those numbers. I waited a little while. The numbers still haven't come out, but he signed a 2-year deal. And pretty much what Slayton is going to do is he's going to come out and probably play a similar role that he did before. I doubt he'll get as many targets because you're adding Waller to the equation and you're getting Wandale back. So this time I think Slayton is coming back and he's going to have a similar type of situation as he did at the beginning of last year, where he's going to be fighting for snaps. It's going to be tough because I know they want to use Parris Campbell. I know they want to use his skill set because Dable and Kafka love those short passes where guys can make, plays after the catch. But Slayton is not that kind of receiver. Slayton is a field stretcher, and I'm glad he's back because we didn't have a field stretcher. And hopefully we go out and get another wide receiver in the draft. But if we don't, we actually have a complete wide receiver core when you include the tight end. So you got your blocking tight end, your tight end who can leak out into the flat and break some tackles and do some stuff with Bellinger. Then you got Darren Waller, who might be a big slot. He might line up outside. He might line up in line, which he actually does the best as a receiver as an inline tight end. And this guy is going to have to be double covered. He's going to have to be bracketed. So once you bracket Darren Waller, guess what? You got Wandale Robinson working the short area, working the intermediate area, running deep crossers. You got Hodgins working that intermediate area. So you got people working all parts of the field that these people are specializing in. So again, it will probably be Waller and Hodgins in sort of that like 10 to 12 yard period. Bellinger is going to be catching passes probably shorter to sticks. And then you'll have Slayton as your guy that's going, 30 yards downfield, 40 yards downfield. And then you'll have Wandale Robinson. You want him probably working in that 15-yard area for the most part. Of course, you're going to throw him screens and stuff too. And then the same thing with Parris Campbell there. So you got a diverse cast of wide receivers. You got a big body guy in Waller. You got another big body guy in Hodgins. And then you got Robinson, a smaller person. So yeah, you got some diversity, and then you got Sterling Shepard too. If Sterling Shepard can stay healthy, let's not forget how effective Sterling Shepard has been these past couple years, even as he's been coming back from injury after injury after injury. Let's not forget just how effective he's been. So you got a ton of wide receivers. So let's just go down the list: Hodgins, Robinson, Parris Campbell, Slayton, Sterling Shepard, Darren Waller. So those are your 6 weapons, your top 6 weapons, and then you can add on Daniel Bellinger to that. So I think that's a solid list of weapons. I mean, solid. This is to the point where I think these weapons, you can't say that this is the worst wide receiver core in the league anymore, because all these guys are professional players. All these guys are proven to some extent. Some of them haven't really, done huge things, but I think all of these guys are NFL starting or second, third string wide receivers at worst. So you don't have that alpha wide receiver one at the X spot or at the Z spot. You don't have that alpha wide receiver one who just is going to get double covered on the outside, but you do have the alpha tight end one who's going to have to be double covered if he's healthy. He's going to have to be accounted for at all times. And I think that does make things a lot easier for every other player on the field, including the run game. It's just going to make things a ton more easier, in my opinion, by adding Darren Waller. I think people are already forgetting about that. But what do I think about this wide receiver core? I think, again, we have a bunch of wide receiver twos. I would say as far as wide receiver 2, I think Parris Campbell's ceiling is wide receiver 2. Right now, he's probably more of a wide receiver 2.5 or a low-end wide receiver 2. I think Slayton's ceiling is wide receiver 2. I think Shepard is a bona fide wide receiver 2 when he's healthy. I think that Hodgins is a bona fide wide receiver 2 if he can continue being that player that he is. And then I think Wandale Robinson is a guy who's a wide receiver 2 who has a potential to be a wide receiver 1 because of that skill set that he has, the athleticism, and the system is pretty much built exactly for him. So no part of there that I say this guy's the alpha. So it's Darren Waller. It's Darren Waller's receiving core, pretty much. So going into this draft at 25, if Jordan Addison is there, you got to take him. If JSN is there, you got to take him. A lot of people think he's only a slot, and we have a couple of slot receivers. We probably have, Sterling Shepard, Wandale Robinson, Parris Campbell. So you got 3 slot receivers, and you got Darren Waller, who does a lot of work in the big slot. So some people think he can only play in the slot. I think he can play outside too. But if one of those 2 guys are there, I think you have to take them. If not, I think you can wait a little while. You can take a wide receiver in round 2 or 3. A guy like is Tyler Scott. We can probably get him in the 3rd round, maybe late 2nd round if we want to trade around. We can probably get a guy like A.T. Perry, who I think a lot of. So there are a ton of options that we can head for, but I don't think that a guy like Zay Flowers, a guy like Josh Downs, a guy like I don't think any of these other receivers that get talked about in the conversation at 20 as the 25th pick for us. I don't think any of these wide receivers are necessarily an alpha that are immediately going to draw attention away from the rest of the team. Now, if we luck into it at 25 and we take a guy like Quentin Johnston or something and he's an alpha, then I'll be perfectly happy. But I think the only guy really that fits our offense that we really should be taking at 25 is Jordan Addison. JSN is a close second. I wouldn't be upset about it, but I don't even think he really fits it, seeing what we already have on our team and the areas of the field that he works versus the areas of the field that they work. So that would be a tough thing to figure out. But I think the Giants are going to end up going defense here. I think the Giants are going to end up going cornerback. That's what the writing on the wall has been said. This cornerback draft is so deep in the 1st round. I mean, you got like probably 7 or 8 cornerbacks that could go in the 1st round. So take a cornerback there, get better at cornerback 2, and then take a wide receiver round 2 or 3, or maybe go offensive line and get yourself a center. So those are my thoughts on that. You guys let me know what you think of the state of the Giants wide receiving core after these 2 moves. And I guess you can add on Jeff Smith. 3 moves have been made today. You made it this deep into the video. Come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.